Hello friends, and welcome to today's Rise and Shine Creative Minds event. This is holiday edition number 2. Last week was holiday edition number 1, where I can't remember what we created. We created something Christmassy. Oh yes, stained glass Christmas trees. And today is meaningful monograms. So a monogram is a letter, either first name, last name, initials, whatever you want. And I'm going to show 2 different ways you can create these as homemade gifts for others. And then there are infinite designs or ideas you can incorporate as you're creating a letter on a background. And I'll just show you a few that I enjoy or a few that really resonate with me. Okay, so first I love to show the tools that I use and everything I create. So I'm going to tip this a little bit. I made some cornstarch ornaments yesterday, and I just used cookie cutters to cut these shapes out. And you could always make them more Christmassy shapes, but I made mine kind of generic, so they're easier to work with. And this recipe is, I believe, 1 cup baking soda, 1/2 cup cornstarch, 3/4 of a cup of water, and then you stir it on the stove at medium for about 5 minutes or so. It gets kind of clumpy, doughy. You take it out, let it cool just a little bit, knead it just like dough, spread it out and cut, and then you can either bake them at 180 degrees for about an hour. It just kind of dries them out. Or you can let them cool overnight for 24 hours. We've done it both ways, and I can't really say one is better than the other. They kind of do the same thing for me. I do want to show this awesome rolling pin I use. I was having trouble when I was making these with a wooden rolling pin, getting them equal and not like, lumpy or some thinner than the others. So this has like measuring discs. So then you can make them all very equidistant, like same, whatever you want to call that, the thickness. And there's options. So I kind of went with the thicker option this time. Sometimes thicker isn't always better. Sometimes thicker can crack, but we went with that today, and I'll show you. They're pretty sturdy right now. And if they get like imperfections or cracks in them, I just use sandpaper. And very gently, I'm going to demonstrate this. Very gently, you can cut this a little smaller too. I just sand my ornaments. This is kind of fun for Liam too, if I bring him in and we work on sanding. And you can make your edges smooth. And so if you have any cracks, like I'll show you some of mine. Some of mine did do this cracking thing. Now paint is going to cover that up, but it helps to smooth it out a little bit. With a corner. And the thicker you make them, the more you have to work with, so you can sand, just get rid of that little dust, and it's going to be a little bit more smooth. So those are the cornstarch ornaments that really work well for ornaments because they are a little heavier. I also ordered Airdry clay. Now I thought I was getting white. Oh, funny. I open it up and I'm like, this is black. And I'm like, all right, well, I can work with this because black makes a nice contrast. So these are the same, kind of the same method. Of course, I just had to roll it out and cut it and let it dry. These air dried for at least 24 hours. They're super lightweight, and that's what makes a good magnet. Because I've tried to make these as magnets, and you really have to have a lot on the back. But with the air dry clay, I bought magnets here with sticky things. One will be plenty, and they will hold up a piece of paper or something on your refrigerator. And I just made them all different, cookie cutter designs. I even found a butterfly that was pretty cool. So, and we made some different sizes too, in case you want those little tiny ones. So that's another just awesome medium air dry clay. And of course it comes in all different colors too, and white. I just happen to have the black here. So there's that. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and use acrylic paints as I paint these. It's the most durable. I think, of the paints, and so it'll be longer lasting. You can also put a clear cover of like a sealer on top of these. I'm not going to do that today because these need to be drying or whatever, and I don't know if I have any more sealer. But a sealer is a nice addition, either a spray form or an actual clear gloss. It'll kind of protect the longevity of your project. Okay, so 5 minutes of intro. Let's go. I'm going to grab a circle, a white circle one. And I'm going to start with, I brought some different colors, but let's keep it kind of Christmassy with gold and silver. So let's do a silver background. And whatever you make, you want your letter to stand out compared to the background. So if I use silver, I will use a brighter color perhaps. And I'm just going to paint this. I have sponge paints, I have larger paints. Now I can see I probably should have sanded it a little better, but you know what? That's okay. I'm all about not perfection here, so if your ornaments do have some imperfections, that's what makes them unique. Now one thing I will do generally, and I'm not going to do it on here, I will flip my ornaments over and paint the backs. So I just like to have that consistent, and it kind of seals the whole ornament as well. So we're just picking a simple gray background here for this one, and I am going to give this one just a minute to dry before I start putting anything on the front. So this one is just a simple shiny gray silver background, and I've got some baby wipes to clean up the mess. I'm just going to gently push that aside, and then let's take, I'm going to sand this top a little bit, a flowery one. So maybe you know a family of 4 or a family of 6 or even a couple. You could put their initials on an ornament or all 4 and give that as a present. Homemade gifts are awesome. They're easy. They're, of course, cost effective. People love getting them. And they help the environment, right? The more we can just make things that are biodegradable and give to one another, we can protect the earth. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make this one a gold background. Different brush here. And some of these, the color, it's so light, you're going to want to double coat it. So sometimes it's just a bunch of background efforts. I know my son with autism has no problem with a sponge getting all the ornaments for the backgrounds. So that can be a job that you designate to your child or loved one. And you will get, this is just like a silicone art sheet. So it cleans up real easy, but you could always just use, what do I use? Newspaper a lot. So one thing with the edges, you might have to hold on some edges to get the other edges, and then just kind of watch those fingers and how much you get paint on. So we're going to go ahead and just put a little bit more here. I might not double coat it for the purposes of creating this video, but the more coats you put on, the prettier it might be. All right, and I always try to smooth out my lines. You hold your brush instead of them like this, you hold it more flat so you don't see as many as the brush marks. And then we'll move that one aside. And I'll clean off my little station and rinse my brushes. Hey, if anyone drinks Starbucks coffee like my daughter, these make great water containers. Okay. So, then I'm going to show just another, those are traditional colors of a background. Let's get a little bit fun with a turquoise blue. So let's do this heart. I want to make sure it's smooth. And when I sand, I hold the whole thing pretty flat in my hand. You might want to wear protective equipment like glasses or things if you don't want to get dust in your eyes. Okay, it's not perfect, but it'll work. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one. And this is when I make the design. It's going to be like a sprinkle design. So I do want the brighter colors. And I would suggest, as you're making your monograms, what makes them meaningful is linking up the design with what you think the person might really enjoy. So a young girl might really like a sprinkle ornament, right? An older grandparent might really like a fancy gold ornament. So kind of gauge it based on their personality, and that gives you and your child a chance to tune in, I say, to people a little bit more on a deeper level. Maybe there's a certain color, like my fiance loves red, so I might make him a red ornament with the C on it. So we're going to go ahead and make this one, and these are drying while I'm doing this, so that's working out perfectly. And if you don't feel super confident in drawing or painting letters, you can always get a template or get ideas. You can look up cursive if you're not familiar with cursive handwriting, which a lot of us aren't, to make it look a little fancier. I'll show a few ideas with that. Some letters look better with cursive and some look better as more block letters. So for my son Liam, like an L will look really nice cursive. All right, so I have my turquoise ornament here. I think I'm going to make 4 of these. And there's lots of little imperfections on the front that I didn't get off totally, and that's okay. Want to really normalize the imperfections we often see in art. All right, and then let's do, these are going to be fun. So I have these 3 little butterflies, and I'm going to put my kids' initials on them since I have 3. And then I will actually put a ribbon and hot glue it, so it'll be an ornament that hangs in 3. So if you've ever seen those, you can buy them sometimes. You can make them. You just get a little smaller of a cutter. I had these little mini, I think it came with Play-Doh, mini butterflies. And I was like, that would make a really nice ornament. So I am going to make these a little prettier. And then, you know, I could think of the colors of my kids that really resonate with them. And I'll show you, I have some metallic acrylic here. I'm doing the cornstarch first because they're a little more complicated than the Airdry. I'm actually just going to use acrylic pens on my Airdry. I'm not even going to paint them, but I am going to paint and seal the cornstarch. All right, so I got some dust. That's all right. This is a little bit more on the foot or whatever, wing. Okay. So, with my acrylic, I have a green here I'm going to use for my son, and let's see, a pink for my daughter Ruby, because she likes that one, and I'm going to use a shiny black for my daughter Micah, because her room is actually black. When I asked her what color she wanted her room painted years ago, she said, "Can I have black?" That was not an easy task to paint a room black. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and paint them the colors that I think correlate to their personalities. So I'm just going to put this directly on because I think, well, let's do one at a time. It'll be easier. And this is a metallic acrylic, so it's shiny. And I do have glitter glue to work with also because that's a super fun way to brighten up your ornaments. And I'll be showing you that. But I do think metallic is so pretty for Christmas time, especially when you put these on the tree and the lights just totally shine and reflect off. So this will be awesome. So pink butterfly for Ruby. And I can always paint the backgrounds later once the fronts are dry. All right, so we're gonna do green for Liam. Liam, my forest lover, loves walking in the ocean. I mean, in the forest. He also likes ocean, so I would be okay doing a teal for him. So maybe think of that if you have a nature-loving family member or friend. You might want to do greens and browns, or green, blue, and white, colors of the earth. Make it meaningful to them based on what they enjoy. Colors are a frequency, so we can match that frequency to what that person tends to emanate. All right, so there's a green butterfly for Liam. And of course, these are not true to what a butterfly would look like, and that's the fun part, the abstract art of it. And now I will rinse my brush again, make sure all this green is off. And we're gonna go for the darker. I do like to use the lighter colors before I use the darker, especially if I'm using a paintbrush and rinsing it and stuff, because you just don't want that dark stuck in the brush. All right, metallic black. This one is one that could probably use 2 coats on it, I see, because it on white, it's, you know, kind of, when you kind of say that, fading through the white color, the white of the ornament. And now that I have these 5 backgrounds, I'll go ahead and put the monograms on them, starting with the one that's the most dry. All right, there is a black metallic butterfly for my daughter Micah. Clean up my station a little bit here. The good thing about acrylic paint is it dries pretty fast. So I'm gonna rinse that brush very thoroughly. Here, we lost the Christmas music. What happened with that? Okay, come back. Gotta have our Christmas music while we're creating. All right, let me regroup here. Okay, let's go up to the silver one. That's pretty dry, like a nice medallion here. And we want to make a color that contrasts really well with this color. So I think a red would look great with silver, right? Those colors together. I'm even seeing this crack like a C for my fiance. So let's go ahead and do a red monogram. And I'm just going to paint it. You could use acrylic pens at this point. I'm just going to do my best to paint a C. And also when it comes to layering, you might need to do it 2 times with the monogram, the letter. So we'll see. We'll see after I make a C. So see how simple that was? Okay, now there's a C. Now I don't necessarily think Chris would like a bunch of glitter or anything, so I might just leave this as that for him. So there's a very simple, plain one. Now let's go to the gold, gold color, and I'm going to use a different color. Maybe I'll use a metallic, and I'm going to actually add some glitter glue to this one. So let's use a blue. Blue and gold go together just like red and silver. I'm going to go ahead and make an A for myself, and I might make it a little fancier of an A. Let's see here. A thinner paintbrush obviously would work really well. And it's okay if it's a very unique looking A. You know, a little bit of calligraphy practice on separate paper might help you decide the exact monogram look that you want. You can Google it. There are tons of fonts to kind of explore with. Like I said, if you didn't feel comfortable with by hand, you can make a little template for yourself by printing one out. So here's my fancy A. It's going to curl around here. All right, so there's an example of a fancy A monogram. And now I'm going to get some glitter. I have the glitter glue that comes in, I have a lot of it, the tubes. And I would suggest glitter glue over glue and loose glitter any day because it is so much cleaner. So since I've got blue, I've got blue glitter. I'm going to go ahead and put a little design around the edges of just dots, little dots of this blue glitter thing. And I have, since it's like a flower, I actually have like all these little prompts of where a dot might look really pretty. So you can also play around with the borders of your monograms. You can also do the backgrounds as long as it's not too busy, because I feel like if it's too busy, the letter doesn't become the focal point. But I do want to show a sprinkle technique on the heart here. So, whoops. And I got a little over there, so I just used my finger. Glitter glue, you got to kind of lift straight up and down as you're making dots. And you'll see it kind of leaves a little tail, and then the gravity will suck it back down. All right, and they're not all perfect. Glitter glue dots, let's fix that one. These would take a lot of patience, going slowly around the edges. All right, I'm going to carefully lift that one because I don't want to hold it up too long, but I put little glitter glue dots around the edge. So there's one technique you could do. Simple A, a little fancier of a C. Now, I have a little girlfriend with an A name, so I think I'm going to make this as a sprinkle form for Allie. So I'm going to make another A, but let's make it not as fancy of an A. And I might want the pink that I use. I already have that somewhere, don't I? Let's put the pink, here it is, in the center. Got a new brush to do that. And I'm just going to make more of a block A. Looks like a horseshoe coming down. Feel free to turn your ornament as you need. See this pretty well? Okay. And then straight across, or maybe a little curved. That looks kind of fun. All right, there's A for Allie. And the bigger the family, the more fun you could have with it, right? Families of 6 or 10 you could sit there and make an ornament for each person. Okay, so I got my A. So now I think I am going to use my acrylic paint pens on this one because I can make little lines that look like sprinkles. So let's pick some of the fun colors, like purple, maybe a darker blue, maybe that pink. I don't know if a yellow will show up, but we will try it. So there's some fun pastel-y colors I have. And I'll just make some little lines going all different directions. The yellow actually shows up really good. So this is a sprinkle idea. And you just fill it in there with the sprinkles. These acrylic pens have like a longer one and a shorter one. I'm using the longer brush. All right, got the pinks done. Let's use the dark green. Oh, that really stands out. Now I'm just filling in all different directions because when sprinkles fall down, they don't look consistent. But you know, if you wanted to do a different design, you could totally make it whatever you wanted. You could do polka dotted background as opposed to sprinkles. All right, and I'll show you this design. It's really fun, really easy. Check it out. And this little girl loves cupcakes, so I think she'll love this ornament. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my butterflies here. And since I have my acrylic pens and they're kind of small, I'm actually going to use those. So for the darkest one, I'm going to actually use whites for my daughter Micah. And let's see how this works. I'm just going to make a big M. Curvy, so I'm going to stick with the curvy style for all of these. Whatever you do, kind of be consistent. So simple light on dark. There's my daughter Micah's. Let's see, Liam, I think a yellow would look really good on this green. So I'm going to make a beautiful L for Liam. And I'm not going to make it cursive since I didn't make Micah's cursive. But another ornament I might explore with a cursive L because I love the cursive L's. All right, that end was not as thick. Okay, so there's a simple L for my son Liam. And now for Ruby, I'm wondering the pink, if a blue or a purple would look really good. Let's do the dark purple. So if you have a lighter background, choose a darker color for your letter. And I'm going to make an R for Ruby. If you are making homemade ornaments, one of the important tools to have is a hot glue gun and ribbon or string. I also got this awesome glue pen I just want to show you. So it makes it much easier for kids than the glue gun sometimes. It's called Smart Glue. So after these things dry, I can attach the strings that would hang them on the tree. All right, so we've got these 5 ornaments here. And then I'm going to make some of the Airdry magnets and show you how awesome those are. So let me go over and hold them up again just so you see. Here's the C. A has a little glitter glue on the back, around the corners. We have a fun sprinkle A. And then we have my kids' initials on butterflies, M, L, and R. All right, so those are the cornstarch ornaments. And it actually has more baking soda than cornstarch, but for whatever reason, they call them cornstarch ornaments. So you can always look up that recipe, though I'll share it in the comments, and I shared it verbally as well. It's really fun to make with your kids, to knead out, and to make those crafts that are very inexpensive. Okay, so let's just clean up my station a little bit. I'm going to put all the paints away because I don't need paints for this next part, at least with the paintbrush. I am going to use my acrylic pens. This brand is Kokani, I think. I'm not sure how to say it. So let's just start with, let's do some squares. I didn't do any squares yet. So these are fun. They have just like little ridges as the edges. And I'm going to see, I actually have a family of 5 I could make for. Let's see, the 3 kids could be squares. And you know, you can try to be consistent with things. Let's see. And mom and dad could be, let's make all the boys of the family squares and mom a flower. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and actually I want to show you this. You could use masking tape here and mask out an H, for instance, that I'm making, outline it that way, or do the background because you're keeping that part protected. I'm not going to do that right now, but I want to show you that's a great tool, especially with neurodivergent loved ones. I could have my kids sponge paint the entire background with that letter in the center. Okay, so let's make an H for Heidi. And I haven't really ever used acrylic pens on Airdry clay, so I am learning what this would be. I want to kind of make polka dots on the letters themselves for this set. So let's see how that works. And Miss Heidi, if you're watching this, you get to watch your gifts and creation. All right, so there's my H. Now I'm going to use a darker, perhaps this is the purple, and I'm going to make little speckles. And each letter could actually be a different design for these. And then I could add something to the background later as well. But I want to show you how you could actually decorate the letter itself uniquely. So there's a polka dotted H. All right, and then dad is Alan, so he's another A. Lots of A's coming in this day. And I'm going to go ahead and do it like a diamond. So a square can be either a square or a diamond when you hang it on the tree. So let's make this a diamond. And let's make it like I made the other A. And now this, I'm going to let it dry for a little bit. I could put stripes on it, perhaps. Let's go to the kids. We have Otto. Let's make him white so I can do something fun with his. Big O in the center. Practice making those circles. Or you could trace something. I'm going to just let these dry a little bit before I add anything to them. And then another M for Max. Let's do orange. I'm kind of choosing bright colors so they stand out. There's an M for Max. And then the next one is an L for Leo. So we are sticking with some of the letters we've already made. Okay. So I've got my O and M. You can see them contrasted so strongly. And then, let's see, Leo. Let's do a light blue for Leo. And remember, I'm sticking with the magnets. These are going to be magnets, so they will be diamond magnets. All right, now that I have all the letters, I can probably go and take a darker color now to Alan's. and maybe make little stripes. Let's see. Kind of should have made it kind of curved there, but I can touch up. You can always use rulers if you don't feel confident freehand, but remember, these are going to be nice and homemade. Perfection is not necessary. All right, so there's some stripes. Maybe for auto, I want to use some squiggles. So I'm just gonna make it look a little bit like the confetti. Trying to do some squiggles. All right. There's my O. And then let's do this dark purple for Max. Let's think of the other. How about I outline his around the side with like a second color? So there's an idea of just outlining. Makes it a little thicker. A two shaded. All right, there's that one. So the designs are countless. You can just think of whatever design sounds fun. So for Leo, I'm going to do a dark blue. And let's just make bigger circles that are kind of, some are half there, semicircles. Some are bigger. All right, that was a really fun design. So see that one? Just the bigger circles, polka dots, and just use two contrasting blues. All right, so that pretty much concludes what I wanted to teach live today. I'm sure I'll be sharing some more ideas of what Liam creates and what I create later. I hope you enjoyed some of these ideas. Here's all my other crafts here. All the cornstarch and the magnets, and once things dry I will add strings and magnets and be able to gift them. So thanks again for being here for Meaningful Monograms, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend.